Story 1. She reported the whispers, and they took her anyway. Dana lived alone in a quiet house just outside Asheville, North Carolina. She was 34, single, worked remotely, and had just moved into the place after a rough breakup. It was one of those small towns where everyone knows each other, or thinks they do. She didn't make much noise. She wasn't the type to cause a scene. That's why the first 911 call caught the local dispatcher off guard. It came in at 3:12 a.m. on a Wednesday. Dana sounded calm. Too calm. "I think someone's outside," she said. Not knocking. Just whispering. The dispatcher asked what they were saying. Dana paused, then whispered. "It's a woman. I think. She's saying, 'Let me in.' Over and over. Real soft. Like she's trying to sound kind." Police sent out a cruiser. The officer did a slow drive-by. No one was found. No signs of a break-in. Just Dana, standing inside her living room window, holding a phone with both hands. The officer knocked. Dana didn't answer. She called back the next morning to apologize. Said maybe it was just a bad dream. Or an animal. The woods were thick around the property. But the next night, at the exact same time, it happened again. 3:12 a.m. Whispers. This time, Dana didn't just report it. She stayed on the line. The call transcript later showed her voice shaking, but controlled. "She's back," Dana said. "I can see her now." Describe her. "She's crouching. No shoes. No clothes. Hair covering her face." "Is she saying anything?" Dana hesitated. "Her mouth isn't moving, but I still hear her." There was silence for almost 15 seconds on the tape. You can hear Dana's breathing. Then she says, almost too softly to catch, "I think she's smiling." Police showed up at 3:49 a.m. They walked the yard. Flashlights. Footprints in the dew, but only Dana's from earlier. Nothing else. They left at 4:16 a.m. That was the last time anyone saw her. 2 days later, her cousin came by to check on her. Dana had missed a call and didn't answer any texts. He found the front door open. The lights on. Coffee still warm in the mug on the table, like she'd stepped out for just a second. Her phone was on the couch. The last number dialed? 911. When police reviewed the final call, something was different. Dana's voice was shaky. Tense. Breathing fast. "She's inside now," she whispered. "Dana, did you let her in?" "No. I never opened the door." Then, silence. A long one. You can hear something in the background, like creaking floorboards. And then, the line goes dead. They searched the house for signs of entry. Every door locked from the inside. No fingerprints. No signs of struggle. Just one bizarre detail. A single set of muddy footprints. They weren't coming into the house. They were already inside. Leading from the kitchen, to the hallway. And ending at the bathroom mirror. Written in condensation on the glass. Still fresh, still wet. "She let me in." When she started listening. To this day, Dana is still missing. There were no suspects. No break-ins. No clues. The case is officially labeled unexplained disappearance. But ask anyone in town, even the officers who responded. And they'll all say the same thing. She was taken. Just not by anything they were trained to stop. Story 2. The man who called 911 every night for help. In the summer of 2014, in Phoenix, Arizona. A man named Jesse started calling 911 almost every single night. He was 42. Quiet. Worked from home. Lived alone in a small, ground-floor apartment that overlooked a drainage canal. The calls were always short. Always the same. And always between 2 and 4 in the morning. He'd whisper. "They're back again. They're just watching." Police responded the first few times. Standard wellness checks. They'd knock. Jesse would answer, nervous, eyes darting toward the window like he expected someone, or something, to appear. But they never saw anyone. No signs of trespassing. No signs of forced entry. Just a man slowly losing sleep. Losing color. Losing hope. After the 5th call in a single week, the department quietly flagged his number as a non-emergency repeat caller. In their words, just another guy with night terrors. But Jesse wasn't sleeping. He was trying to stay awake. Because he knew what came when he let himself drift off. The calls stopped after that. Until 3 nights later. When neighbors called in a complaint. They said something smelled. Police arrived with a warrant. It had been just over 72 hours since Jesse's last 911 call. Inside, nothing looked out of place at first. The door was locked. The apartment was still. Quiet. But the air was heavy, soured by something rotting. They found Jesse face down beside his bed. His arms stretched toward the window. His phone still in his hand, but the last number never dialed. The most disturbing detail? It wasn't just his body. It was what was around it. Muddy footprints. Leading from the window. To the bed. And back again. Like someone had been watching him. Then finally decided to come inside. But that's not all. The forensics team discovered a trail of black clay, the kind found in the drainage canal behind the building. The window sill was scratched. Like someone had pulled themselves through, slowly, deliberately. But Jesse lived on the 2nd floor. There were no ladders. No footprints in the hallway. Nothing on the fire escape. Whoever, or whatever, had been outside Jesse's window. Didn't use the door. And didn't leave through it either. To this day. There are no suspects. No arrests. And Jesse's final call still sits on the system. Unsent. Unheard. Just static. Story 3. The cabin wasn't empty, but the police said it was. In northern Montana, tucked deep into a stretch of wilderness known as Glacier Hollow, there's a cabin that barely shows up on modern maps. Locals call it the Hollow House. A place people rent when they want to disappear for a while. In 2019, a 37-year-old man named Tom Mercer booked it for 2 weeks in December. He was a quiet guy. Divorced. Tired of city noise. He told his brother he just wanted real silence for once. No neighbors. No phones. No obligations. The cabin had no Wi-Fi. No cell signal unless you hiked half a mile up the ridge. It was the kind of place that made you feel like the rest of the world didn't exist. Just snow, wind, and wood creaking under your boots. But 3 nights in, everything changed. Tom hiked up the ridge to call the sheriff's office. His voice, according to the dispatcher, was calm, but clipped. "I think someone's in the attic," he said. Footsteps. Around 2 a.m. It happened twice now. The dispatcher paused. "Sir, that cabin doesn't have an attic." And she was right. The official blueprints didn't include one. Tom went back down, chalking it up to his imagination, maybe rodents, or just the wood expanding from the cold. But the next night, it wasn't footsteps. It was a voice. A low, rhythmic voice, floating through the ceiling beams every 15 to 20 minutes. Go back to sleep. You're safe here. Go back to sleep. Tom said it didn't sound human. Too flat. Too calm. Like a recording that was just playing itself over and over above his head. He grabbed a flashlight and checked every inch of the ceiling. The hatch he hadn't noticed before, above the kitchen pantry, was nailed shut. He didn't remember seeing it before. He called the police again. They sent 2 deputies. They did a basic walkthrough, knocked on a few walls. Didn't bother to climb up and check the hatch. One of them even joked, "You want us to check for ghosts next?" Tom didn't laugh. He didn't sleep. He sat in a chair by the wood stove, axe in his hand, staring at the ceiling until sunrise. The next morning, he boarded up the attic hatch himself. Used heavy screws. Hammered every edge. He even left a note on the kitchen counter. "If you hear the voice, do not open it." Then silence. For 2 days. No messages. No calls. His brother tried texting. No reply. Eventually, he drove out to check on him. He found the front door unlocked. Tom's phone was in pieces on the floor, the screen shattered and crushed like it had been stomped. The fireplace was still warm. 2 cups of tea were on the table, but only 1 chair pulled out. And the attic? The hatch had been ripped open from the inside. Splinters of wood on the floor. Screws bent outward. There was no Tom. No blood. No footprints leading outside. But on the floor, carved deep into the old pine, not with a knife, but something sharp and uneven, were the words. "Go back to sleep." They searched the woods. They searched the cabin. Even brought dogs. But nothing. One deputy, off the record, told Tom's brother. "That place has history. This isn't the first time someone's gone missing up there." But no report was ever filed. No alert to the press. Tom's name quietly slipped into the unsolved files. And the listing for the cabin? Still active. You can book it today. But if you do, listen carefully. And if the voice starts, don't answer. Don't move. And whatever you do, don't open the hatch. Some places don't want you to leave. And some stories aren't shared because the police can't explain them. Have you ever had an experience where no one believed you? Share your story in the comments. Subscribe now for more true scary stories that don't just haunt your screen, they follow you to sleep.